Bonjour. Today's lesson we're going to talk about a few different kinds of special ER verbs. These are verbs that are still conjugated in very much the same way, but just with a few tweaks. So just a quick recall about conjugating those ER verbs. So our example is regarder. So we drop that ER. We're left with our root. And we use that to conjugate it. So we add our endings. For je, it's E. Tu is es, il and el singular is e, nous o and s, vous ez, and il and el plural ent. Okay, so je regarde, tu regardes, il elle regarde, nous regardons, vous regardez, il elle regarde. And here are our three different categories of special ER verbs that we're going to look at. So we have GER verbs. Verbs that have a G before the ER, so manger, nager, and voyager. We're also going to look at a category of verbs that is not represented on your vocabulary list, and those are CER verbs. So an example would be commencer, which means to start, to commence, to begin, okay, something along those lines. So commencer is not on your vocabulary list, but it is helpful to know how it's conjugated. Okay, and lastly, we're going to look at YER verbs. Verbs that have a Y before that ER, like envoyer. So here's an example of a GER verb. We're using the verb manger here, which means to eat. And I went ahead and listed out the entire conjugation. Okay, so we have je mange, okay, plain ER verb, we dropped the ER, we added E for je. Tu manges, again, nothing's different here, just the ES ending. Il, elle mange with an E, nothing's changed. Now when we get to nous, this is this only one that's changed, okay? You'll see that has an E here, and we'll talk about that Y in a moment. But look at vous. No difference there, just an EZ at the end, and il and el plural, again, conjugated just like a normal ER verb with an ENT. Now back to nous. The reason why there is an E at the end, or excuse me, in the middle of the word, between the G and the O, is because if it were written out as though it were conjugated regularly, this is our root, and we would add the O and S. Now the issue with this is that when an O is after the G, it makes the G be pronounced like a hard G, like a G instead of a J, okay? And we want to keep the original sound that was in the verb, manger, manger, okay? So in order to keep that original sound, they add an E, okay? So in the new form for all GER verbs like nager and voyager, in that new form, you're going to add an E before the O and S. Alrighty? Okay, CER verbs. And you'll notice here, just like with manger, all of the other forms, except for nous, are conjugated like a normal ER verb. Okay, the only change is in the nous form. So let's just skip ahead and look at the nous form. So remember, commencer means to start. So in the form we start, you'll notice that there's a difference in the C. What we've done here is we've added an accent. Nous commençons, okay? And if you remember what that C does, it makes it be pronounced like an S sound instead of a hard K sound like K, okay? And so again, if an O follows a C, then it makes the C be pronounced like a K. And we don't want that. We want to keep the original sound that was in the verb. Commencer. So we add the CD, the accent below the C, in the nous form so that it keeps that S sound. nous commençons. Lastly, we have YER verbs. And YER verbs are a little bit different from the first two that we saw. Instead of a change in the new form, we actually have a change in 4 other forms. So what has happened here is that in the je, tu, il, elle singular, and il, elle plural, instead of a Y, it's been replaced with an I. Okay? So if you look at it, all of the endings are still the same. Okay? We have an E for je, an ES for tu, an an E for EL singular, and an ENT for EL plural. Okay? The only difference is in those 4 forms, instead of having a Y, it's an I. Okay? It's just a change in the spelling. It doesn't change the pronunciation whatsoever. So it's j'envoie, tu envoies, il envoie, elle envoie. Okay, I'm going to skip down here. Ils envoient, elles envoient. Okay, and then we have nous envoyons and vous envoyez. Okay, so it's still conjugated the same way. The endings don't change. All that changes is in these 4 forms, instead of a Y, it's an I. All right? And that's actually all I have for you, so not too long of a lesson. I'm going to wish you bonne chance, and I will see you next time.